Hello, my name is Lawrence Holby. This is video number 2 on what I promised you would be an exciting trip through the shoulder. So the first one I talked about roughly what I'd be doing in terms of the rotator cuff group of tendons. So now we're actually getting into the nitty gritty. So hopefully going to try to make this video within 5 minutes to make it watchable and so hopefully informative. So hope you like it. Do give me any feedback um, and hopefully I can improve. So let's get on to what actually constitutes the rotator cuff group of muscles. There's basically 4 and they all sit on top of each other. And to remember it, if you want to remember it, it, believe it or not, has the acronym of SITS. So you have the supraspinatus or spinatus, whichever way you like to call it, sitting right at the top. It comes over the shoulder, shoulder blade, comes under what's called the acromion of bone, and it comes right onto the top of the humerus or the big arm bone. So the function of the supraspinatus is, as you can guess, if the muscle contracts, lifts your arm up like that. And one of the most common injuries is, and lots of you may well have heard of it before, is tear to the supraspinatus tendon or impingement, where the actual tendon becomes swollen and you get what are called partial thickness tears, and then you can't move your arm up. It's one of the most common injuries, and that's the supraspinatus tendon of the rotator cuff group. Just below that is infraspinatus, so as the name suggests, it lies under, it inserts underneath the supraspinatus tendon, which is just up here. So it's infraspinatus just below. And it's a bit more on the inner side of the humerus or arm bone. And it comes underneath, right on the back of the shoulder, quite a big muscle that comes up over, can help move the arm outward. And again, it's one of the important muscle to help move the shoulder. The other one is called, under the acronym SITS, is teres minor. Again, all come from the shoulder blade and sits on the inside of the arm bone humerus, and has a function of rotating the arm in and out, including the next muscle, which is called subscapularis. And that lies underneath. It's a big muscle, water muscle that comes underneath and goes on to the humerus again. Now, they're all what are called a set of dynamic stabilizers, means it helps stabilize the whole shoulder joint, or what's called the glenohumeral joint. And the way you can really see why the arms, and this is fundamental, why the arm becomes unstable is that it can be seen a bit like a golf ball sitting on a tee. It's quite unstable. The top of the arm bone, the humerus, equivalent to the golf ball sitting on a small, shallow tee. And the only thing holding it on are the rotator cuff group of muscles. And they both, and all the muscles work together. So for example, if I go externally rotate my arm like this, you've got another muscle, subscapularis, that comes in, or teres minor, that comes in to stabilize the opposing muscle that has the function of rotating your arm. So they're all in dynamic synergy, which means that they both work together to give that stability so you can move it about without your arm actually falling off its socket, which is fairly important. The other thing which gives stability to the whole shoulder joint, because I said the rotator cuff is fundamental to move the arm about, but the whole shoulder joint relies on stability, is our ligaments, and that lies just below the rotator cuff group of muscles, and they help bind it, and that they lie in what's called the rotator interval, which is just below the rotator cuff group. There's no muscle, but it's all the ligaments that come together. And you've also got the biceps tendon, which comes up here and it sits onto the shoulder, end of the shoulder blade, the glenoid fossa, which stops the shoulder popping out. So everything is helping bind the shoulder onto the shoulder blade. The final thing we need to talk about in terms of stability is what's called the labrum, which is a bit of fibrocartilage. It's a conical shape. It goes right across here, and it helps deepen the socket. It's quite loose. Well, it's firm material, and it makes the shoulder cup deeper, again adding to stability. And this can frequently tear. You get what are called labral tears, which can affect the whole stability of the shoulder joint. And if the shoulder moves a little bit more, obviously that can lead to more strain going on the tendon and thus tears. The last bit of thing that gives the shoulder stability is a negative pressure. In other words, it's surrounded by what's called a joint capsule. It's a fluid thing that lies all over across here, and it's the shoulder capsule, which as a matter of interest can get affected in things like frozen shoulder. It basically contracts and you can't move it. But in normal life, it's very loose, enabling you to move about. And that contains everything. Everything's under what's called a negative pressure. So it's a bit like one of those suckers you put on the sink. It sucks up the actual arm, so that because of that negative pressure, it helps keep it in. So it's a bit of a negative pressure, but it does help the stability. And so all the shoulder, the rotator cuff group, the ligaments, the biceps tendon, the negative pressure, and the labrum all help give the shoulder its stability. And so the actual group of muscles that come over here, that sort of come and that gives it that wodge of muscle, is called the rotator cuff group. And that is essentially the rotator cuff group of muscles giving you stability. And so that brings me to the end of, a quick vision of how the shoulder is put together. On my next video, number 3, is going to be what happens when things go wrong with the rotator cuff muscles, what sort of problems can ensue, which you can probably already start guessing because it's all to do with stability and movement. And that is a good trailer to end. So I look forward to seeing you in video 3 of when the rotator cuff group go wrong. Thanks for watching, and let me know if you like it. Bye-bye.